Hello there. And yes, I have a bad throat. It makes me sound like Emperor Palpatine sometimes. But that's not important. What is important? This voice sounds weird. As I was saying, what is important is our second Chucky review, Child's Play 2. So, with the success of Child's Play 1, a sequel was already in the works. You see, the creator of Child's Play, Don Mancini, always wanted to create a franchise out of it. This franchise, of course, began with the first film and continued with this, Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2 follows on 2 years after the events of Child's Play 1, where the toy company that creates the Good Guys dolls has uncovered the body of Chucky. They scrape off all the burned flesh and bits and bobs and all that, and they recreate him. However, as a result, they manage to bring him back to life. Meanwhile, Andy is in the foster care system. He is adopted by two new foster parents. These foster parents are unable to have children themselves, so they adopt him into the family, as well as his older new foster sister, Kyle. As Andy adjusts to life, he discovers a good guy doll called Tommy. Tommy scares him at first, but he eventually warms up to it. Meanwhile, Chucky is on the hunt for Andy, hoping to transfer his soul into his body. As Chucky finds Andy, he destroys Tommy and takes his place. A string of crimes occur, killing off many of Andy's close acquaintances, such as his teacher and even his foster father. Eventually, Andy is put away for good once again. Chucky hunts him down, killing his foster mother this time and taking Kyle hostage. Kyle drives Chucky towards Andy's location and Andy is hunted by Chucky. Chucky eventually takes Andy towards the Good Guy factory where he attempts to transfer his soul. However, because of his bullshitting around, Chucky ends up failing to transfer his soul, for leaving it too late, and is officially stuck in the doll's body. He tries to kill Andy, but with the help of Kyle, the two manage to destroy Chucky once and for all. Also, we think. What I think about this film, I do like that it is a continuation of the first film. It flows quite nicely. I think one of my biggest complaints is it's sort of the same plot. Let's be honest now. Chucky is in need of trying to transfer his soul into Andy, and it's a string of murders, blah. But this time there's no bullshitting that, oh, who did it? Is it the doll? Is it the boy? This time we know it's the doll, and Chucky has a lot more screen time. He has a lot more funny quotes, and honestly, I enjoy the new character of Kyle, who is pretty badass. I think some of my biggest complaints with this involves some of the characters. One of the characters being the foster father. I found him too harsh, too nasty. You see, we have a little bit of background to these foster parents, and it is kind of tragic. They're unable to have children, hence why they adopt children through the foster care system. However, the way this father acts, he is an absolute dickhead. Yeah, I almost wanted him to die, and when he does, I'm kind of glad that he does, die. But yeah, I kind of felt unsatisfying, really. Speaking of harsh characters, is it just me or is every character in this film totally against Andy? I mean, every single character here seems to want this boy to suffer. The teacher is an absolute bitch, and honestly, I'm kind of glad some of these characters die. And you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel like he doesn't, you should feel sorry for these characters, but you don't. And therefore, when they die, who really cares? So yeah, a lot of the characters are a lot more harsh in this movie. But then again, if you really think about the realistic tones the Chucky movies try and play off, it can somewhat make sense. I mean, Andy is seen as an insane child. His mother is in the loony bin, as is Mike Norris, believe it or not. And so, you can kind of understand people being quite wary and almost terrified of him. Which is something which I quite like in the new Chucky movie, Cult of Chucky, which I saw recently. However, that review is to come later, much later in fact, depending on when these reviews come out. Yeah, sorry about that. Meanwhile, the review. The music for Child's Play 2 is a lot more childlike. There's a lot more children's music being used as opposed to the choir in the first film, and therefore it kind of became mainstream for the Chucky films. Every other Chucky film after this all used sort of children's instruments, and this one was the one beside it. This was also the first film to start off the whole plot line that Chucky needs to transfer his soul as quick as possible, which is the plot line which has been done to death in every single Chucky film, except for Cult of Chucky, that is, which takes a completely brand new direction, which I absolutely love. Cannot talk about that right now, but back to Chucky himself. Chucky himself is a lot more better. I think the animatronics are better than the first film. However, I will say this, his eyes are a little bit off. I don't know whether it's just me, but Chucky's eyes in this film seem a little bit weird. They almost seem too blue, and almost like the whole eye is blue except for the one little dot. It's almost too bright and too contrasting to the colours around the movie. So yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about those eyes. I don't really think they're brilliant in comparison to the first film, which had alright sets of eyes, but that's a little nitpick. As for all the reception this film got, the film got a good reception, as did the first film. However, there was a lot more protest this time. A lot more critics thought that this film was a bit more too cruel, a bit more harsh, and in some ways, as I said earlier, I kind of agree, it is a lot more harsher. But I don't really think that's a fair criticism. Well, but yeah, in comparison to some of the fans who like this film, I don't think it's the best Chucky film. You see, when I first watched it, I enjoyed it, and hell, I even thought it was probably going to be my favourite Chucky film. However, watching it again before this review, I realised that it's not as good as I remembered it. Some of the acting from some of the people is kind of daft. I didn't really care about many of the characters, as I said earlier. The father was extremely cruel, as is the teacher, and so when they die, you don't really feel bad about it. You just kind of root for Chucky, which you don't want to do. But anyway, but there's also another problem, being that Chucky himself seems to delay his voodoo transfer. I know that Chucky's trying to be all stealthy and trying to hide the fact that he's around, but there's some scenes where he could easily just transfer his soul into Andy. While at the school, he could have killed the teacher and then transferred his soul there. In the bedroom, he could have quickly killed Kyle, although that may have made a scene, and then transferred his soul then and there. There's plenty of opportunities he had, but he wasted them by basically dicking around. So yeah, that's also a little bit of a nitpick. Child's Play 2 itself, if I were to give it an overall grade, I would give it a bit more of a harsher grade with probably a 67%. It's not bad whatsoever. It's fantastic, I love it, but I don't think it's as great as it was when I first watched it. When I first watched it, I enjoyed it, but as you get on, it's not as good as you remember it, and I think that might be a bit of a problem when it comes to these Chucky films. When you watch them again, they sort of die out in how fun they used to be, if you know what I mean. But there is worse to come, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because Chucky got a sequel. In fact, Chucky's sequel was being filmed alongside Child's Play 2 and was rushed out the year after Child's Play 2 was released. Oh yes, my friend, we are about to dive into what is considered, or what is literally the worst rated Chucky film in Chucky history, Child's Play 3. May God have mercy on my soul, because this film is worse than the comedies. It is worse than any of the other Chucky films, and I'll see you there when we get there. As for now, goodbye.